Hey, what's up guys? I'm PTC. One of the biggest problems I see in competitive matchmaking is that oftentimes the players are not able to play the role they are best at. Many times you'll be in a game where too many people on your team want to play a damage class and not enough want to play a tank or a healer. What ends up happening in a best case scenario is that somebody who mostly plays a damage role ends up playing a tank or a healer, and as a result, your team suffers because of it. In a worst case scenario, well, nobody switches, and you get stomped because you don't have enough tanks or you don't have enough healers. In Overwatch, if you want to play in the competitive ladder, you need to be good at several characters, but mostly you need to focus primarily on one role, whether that's damage, tanking, or healing. So if you're going to play healer, you should know how to play all of them, so you can switch characters to suit the given situation. However, forcing someone who is focused on the healing role to play damage, or a damage player to play a healing role, causes problems, not only because they don't want to play those roles, but because they're going to be worse than someone who actually focused on those roles. So that brings me to the point of this video, which is I would like to see the ability to queue for competitive matches as a specific role, basically damage, tank, or healer. Now, there are two ways that you can do this. You can either let the player choose, or you can let the game choose. And really, I think only one of them will work. In World of Warcraft, you can queue up for a dungeon with random players, and when you do, you select the role you want to play as, damage, tank, or healer. Once the game finds the correct group of people, it puts them together and transports everybody to the dungeon. Now, if for some reason the healer decides, well, he doesn't want to heal, then the dungeon run is over. In Overwatch, it doesn't quite work like that though. If someone were to queue as a healer and decide that, hey, they don't want to heal, then your team would be screwed, because the match isn't simply going to end just because that one guy changed his mind. So because of this, I don't think that allowing a player to choose what role he wants to play is a good idea. A pretty big problem that would arise from players being able to choose their roles is that they could easily abuse the system. There's going to be more people that want to play damage than people who want to play healing. And that means that people who select the healing role are going to have a shorter wait time for a game. There would be nothing stopping a player from simply choosing healing to get a short wait time, but then playing damage once they're in the game. If a player is allowed to choose what role he wants to be, it would be abused constantly and it would break the entire system. So this leaves the second method, where the game decides what role you're going to play. Sort of. It wouldn't be arbitrary where it simply says, hey, you are going to play tank, and you're going to play damage, and you're going to play healer. But instead, what would happen is the game would try to match people based on their history. The standard team lineup is 2 damage, 2 tank, and 2 healers. Yes, there are variations of this, but this is pretty much the most standard. So when people would queue for a match, the servers could try to find people who recently and consistently play a certain role. It would then try to place 2 of each of those roles on both teams. So basically, if you've been playing a lot of healer, it would try to slot you into a healer position. If you've been playing a lot of damage, it would try to put you into a damage position. It wouldn't be a perfect system, and yes, people can change whatever classes they want during the game, but you'd have a much better chance of having a solid team lineup if the matchmaking system accounted for what roles the players actually like to play as. So what about people who have been playing as one role, but then they decide they want to switch to another role, or they just got bored, or maybe they just want to change a pace? Well, that could be handled fairly easily. A simple button on the menu screen would allow a player to reset or disable their recent game history, and then the matchmaking server would treat them as if they were a wild card. The matchmaking system would then try to make teams that follow the 2-2-2 lineup, but it would put wildcards in where and when it could, and it would likely restrict them to one wildcard player per team. Again, this would not be a perfect system. You're not always going to get the ideal lineup, but if the matchmaking system did take into account the roles that people like to play and are best at, then the competitive ladder matches would have much stronger teams with reliable tanks and healers instead of getting, 5 damage and 1 tank or 1 healer. I can remember many times where I'm playing the tank, the only tank, and then I tell my team, hey, we kind of need a healer, guys. And then some jackass would say, well, if you want a healer, then you should switch to it. To which I would respond, well, if I switch to healer, then we no longer have a tank. In Overwatch, it's a bad idea to focus on only one character, but it's a good idea to focus on and try to master a single role. It would certainly be nice if the competitive matchmaking system encouraged that. But anyways, let me know what you think could be done to improve the matchmaking system so that we have more balanced teams. Do you like the idea of queuing by role? Let me know in the comment section below. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos that come out. But that's going to be about it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, share it with your friends. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.